Shumana, am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible now.
Okay, chalo. Fine. So let's start.
ম্যাম আমি একবার বলে দিই সবটা।
Sure, go ahead.
Hello everyone.
হ্যাঁ অডিও প্রবলেম হচ্ছিল, অডিও আসছিল না।
Now you are okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, start please.
Yeah.
Yes sir, yes. Good evening everyone. This is our third day of community outreach webinar series, which is a part of our curriculum. Today's topic is From Restoration to Resilience, an approach to nature's conservation. Speaker is the Dalia Ghosh Dostidar ma'am, who did her doctoral thesis on common venomous snakes in agriculture landscapes in southern India and of USA. Part of her doctoral research was done under the Fulbright Nehru Doctoral Fellowship. Ma'am, can you please mute yourself? Yes, ma'am. Her research interest in biodiversity conservation is general, and herpetology, population ecology, and human-animal interaction in specific. For research work interest, she has been closely associated with local people in remote villages, in indigenous communities of southern India. She is currently Assistant Secretary of Beats of Nature Society, which is a Kolkata-based NGO working on nature's conservation. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. So good evening, everybody. Thank you, Shumana, for your introduction, and thank you all of you for your patience. There was some glitches, which is solved now, I guess. And the Kolkata Environmental Science Department in Calcutta University, thank you very much for giving me the chance. So I am, as Sumana has introduced me already, I am currently working as the Assistant Secretary in a Kolkata-based organization. It's Bits of Nature Society. We primarily work on the nature conservation in various fields, like different projects or trainings, workshops, or capacity building, and also on research and all. So today I am going to talk to you about mostly about my research, what I have done so far, and some are my ideas or experiences on an approach how we can do a nature conservation in a holistic way. So my topic of discussion today is from restoration to resilience, an approach to nature conservation. I'd like to share the screen with you for a presentation. Let me see.
Ma'am, can you please rotate your phone?
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you can see the presentation now.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
So I'll start saying like why we need to do restoration. We know like this current decade has been declared as even decade of ecosystem restoration. That was the theme for all the biodiversity awareness programs also. So I just thought of doing a small introduction on that. As you probably know, like the what is actually restoration and why we need to do restoration is, you often will hear about like many problems are associated with ecosystem conservation. One among those, a very important one among those, is constant degradation of ecosystem everywhere because of many reasons. One major reason would be like anthropogenic disturbances. There are land use changes, land reformation, and development processes going on, which is sustainable. And also climate change is another factor, like which is very making the climate very erratic, and it's not possible to like or the temperature pattern, how what used to be earlier. So that is also contributing more to it. And to revert these problems associated with land use changes, restoration is one of the important measures what we take in ecosystem conservation. So how we can do habitat restoration or like a resource, how we can restore it. I'd like to take you through a video. It's a very unique case in a village in Karnataka. Maharashtra, sorry, in Maharashtra, and the place name is Hiwre Bazar. So if you are already aware of it, I don't know if you are. If not, let us watch a video how the people of this particular village has done an unique experiment with watershed management, and they could restore, they could just reserve the available rainwater in their village, and how they could reform a very arid kind of landscape into a very fertile one. Let's watch.
Ma'am, can you please tell us the content of video? Actually, this is not audible.
Oh, you couldn't see the. Okay.
Yes, we can see, but it's not audible.
Oh,
Actually, it is a problem of Gmeet. Somehow,
okay. Okay. Right. Maybe loading is taking time. Just a moment. Is it audible now?
no, No, ma'am. Actually, it is a problem of GMeet. You can say what is about this video, so we can.
Okay. You can see it, but you can't hear it. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, no problem. Let me just discuss the content. I will share the video with all of you later. It's worth watching.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyway, so the content I will describe, like, it's the story of Hira Bazar in Maharashtra. It's a village which is situated on the dry, area, arid zone. It's a rain shadow area actually. The Sahyadri range, left of it is Konkan and the right of it is this Hira Bazar village location. So it gets very less rainfall. And there was no water harvesting system before there, long back, and so there was lots of migration happening, like people who are not getting water, and people are not able to cultivate crops throughout the year, or even like 2 crops a year. They were migrating to cities for some livelihood options. So it was really a big problem. And slowly they started this water harvesting system. They started to restore whatever rainwater they are getting. It's very scanty, but when they did it in a proper way, with the involvement of the entire community, it showed wonder. They did contour trenching around the hills, and then they have done a top-down model of water restoration, where they did this contour trenches along the hills, and then some tanks in the lower elevation, and then even the whatever water is seeping from there, it is finally getting restored in this cultivation lands. And in that way, they could, and also they did water audit, which you already probably would be knowing. Like, they just measured the water level of the open wells, and there was a restriction of over usage for anybody. So it was an evenly distributed plan. In that way, all of the people in the village got the benefit. And finally, when surrounding villages were not able to do any cultivation because of lack of water, Hira Bazar could do it. Like, even in summer, they could do 4 crops, so which is huge. And also they later experimented with crops which need more water, like sugarcane and something similar. And it got several awards. It got featured. The story of Hira Bazar got featured in many places. What unique watershed management can be, and what it can make. So it is some kind of story how we can restore the resources, whatever available to us. But and also it is very important because this is, as you heard, like, it is UN Convention to UN Decade of Ecosystem Restoration. The same way, parallelly, there is a UN Convention to combat desertification, is also very relevant throughout the world. So based on that, they have many plans to greening of arid regions. So even that it's a huge area that is in their plan, that is encompassing Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa, and also northern China, and it's a huge belt what they have planned to green. But in this entire process, where they are trying to restore combat desertification or restore the habitat, what might go wrong, I mean, in this entire process of restoration. So we have to, whenever we are taking a restoration approach, we have to think about what might go wrong. So if we are not properly understanding the habitat or the need or to restore the resource, whatever we are trying to save, then it might go very wrong. And it's also not immediate harm. It's about like a long-term damage which can happen in various scales. It can damage the entire ecosystem there. It can damage the habitat or the native biodiversity, like introduction of alien invasive species. You have probably heard of Prosopis juliflora, which is a huge problem all over the world in the places where it was introduced as alien species, and now it's damaging the entire native ecosystem. We have some of our works, we have even presented our work in the Indian Science Congress about that, like how Prosopis juliflora is harming the native ecosystem. And it was I will show it later also, like it was first introduced in Tamil Nadu as a political movement in 60s, I guess, and now it is a huge problem there. It was for fodder, it got introduced, and then it became a real issue in it's damaging the native plants and also the animal diversity, and the other allelopathic effects that is associated with it is also very harmful. And it's very hard to control this because the propagation is also very high for this plant, and it can survive any kind of weather or any kind of landscape. So it has become a huge problem. So that was one problem of like greening. I mean, Prosopis came to India for greening purposes. It was in the deserts of Rajasthan first it came, and then different parts of India it got introduced. And also the socio-ecology or economic condition can get affected in the sense like humans are, as you know, they are part of the biodiversity, right? So in any case, if some part of it is getting affected, then of course it would have a huge problem with the economic condition as well. So here we are seeing like this greening program, what we say, like there are lots of efforts going on everywhere. You would see like plantation movements. I mean, there is a plantation movement. We have to plant trees. We have to combat desertification, or we have to just green on the arid areas. But there is not in-depth study before doing that. I mean, we have to first understand the habitat that we are planning to green. I mean, it might not be a deserted area. It is probably a grassland. I mean, there is very less understanding about grassland worldwide among people, and even in this UN program where they are planning to green these arid areas, when later in-depth analysis was done from maps and all, it was revealed that actually many places of it are not arid areas, they are grasslands, and the maps were taken when in a dry season, when it might seem like an arid area, but it is actually not. And when you are converting a grassland habitat into a rainforest or lots of big trees which are actually not native for that particular habitat or ecosystem, which can happen. I mean, which can go wrong is trees usually which are used, I mean, for plantations, they will need lots of groundwater, and then they will just reserve this carbon not underground, and that way, they will be prone to these forest fires and all. Grassland can combat forest fire better than this so-called forests what we are creating in the name of greening. And also these trees will need lot more water, groundwater, than the grasslands need. So that is another problem. So when we are greening an area, we have to be very careful about like how the area was actually, and do an analysis like will it be in long term beneficial, because when we are converting a grassland habitat into a rainforest or a forest habitat, the entire biodiversity of that area historically what was there is going to be affected naturally, because it's all our grassland species and their evolution has happened that way. So all over in long term it would be harmful. So here are two examples. One I already told you about Prosopis juliflora, how it has affected as an invasive alien species. Another was locust swarm, what you have probably heard of or read about, which was a huge problem in 1920 in Rajasthan, and it just spread it over even southern. I think it came up to Andhra, and there were lots of forecasts of locust swarm. And that was probably, there are theories that was probably related to these human-made modifications in the desert ecosystem. So there is an effort of greening Rajasthan or greening desert in Rajasthan, for what many appreciations also came. I mean, you might have felt good also about reading some reports where the desert is no longer as arid as it used to be. But when it was arid, it was just preventing this locust swarm. It's a huge belt where the locusts are migrating. I mean, they are migrating all through this Middle East areas and from African regions, and then via India they are spreading. So it's a huge area, and this was like a barrier to that. When these locusts need some humid place to reproduce for propagation in their life cycle, so that was supported by this unscientific greening, which went probably wrong. So far we heard about how we have to protect a habitat by doing restoration. And this is a picture you might be thinking why it is here. So from here on I would like to talk about resilience. So it's a city, you can see in the picture, it's Mumbai, and there is a leopard inside the city, very much among people. You might have heard about the huge leopard issues which Mumbai goes through, and near Borivali areas and all. In the Sanjay Gandhi National Park is there, and the conflict is really severe. I mean, leopards are very much there in the national park, and they don't know the boundary of the park naturally. So they come out for easy prey, and they just try to hunt outside. And humans are just immediately around that national park. The Mumbai city itself is very near to it. And there are lots of stories. I mean, every day almost historically, it's been years issue. It's a huge issue, like how to deal with this problem. So India is a country we know, like with a huge human population, the second highest in the world. And at the same time, we are having also lots of protected areas, which is also very high when we compare it around the world, and lots of faunal diversity, including megafauna, which is among the megafauna one you can see here. So all the time it is, we can see from this picture, it's not possible to convert this entire place, the city area, into a forest area so that the leopards are feeling safe or the humans can avoid them. I mean, humans are already there, right? So we can't remove them just like that. And we have to find a solution probably to live alongside this wildlife, so-called wildlife, which might create a conflict or might feel problematic for many. So I will directly go to my topic of research, that is snakes. As you might know, like snakes are snakes undergo like conflict with humans all over the world, and India is almost in the first place where the conflict is huge. Snakebite is a declared neglected tropical disease, and India has like almost 500,000 deaths from snakebite each year. And snakes are everywhere in the villages or even the urban areas, because I guess they were already there when we came. When the villages or houses came, before that they were there. So when these areas changed, they didn't know where to go. And human habits are usually go along with this what to say, like it support a huge pest population. You know, rodents are plenty wherever humans are living because of the food grains, because of cultivation or the food waste, whatever is going. So cities, you know, it's a like hub of rodents, and also in villages along the paddy fields and all. So snakes naturally come there for hunting and all. So this is a picture of a West Bengal village in Bardhaman district, where the humans of the village, the villagers, live in they coexist with the cobras there. The monocellular cobra, it is one of the most venomous species of snakes found in India, and the monocellular cobra also have undergone some strange kind of adaptation here. They have almost forgotten to react, or like you can see snakes would spread their hood if they're alive, and that is mostly a defensive posture more than, you know, to bite anybody. So here the snakes, these monocellular cobras, rarely do that because they're so used to the entire pattern of the village. Here nobody hurts the snakes, and even the animals, I mean, the dogs don't bark if they're seeing a snake. I mean, the entire system has been adapted over the years because of the people here. I mean, they believe this particular species is incarnation of the deity whom they follow, Chankeshwari, goddess Chankeshwari, and they sort of respect the snakes. They worship them, and they don't. They try not to harm them in any way. Suppose they're opening a door in the morning after getting up, they will keep an eye if there is a snake lying there. So they are extra cautious. They are taking their precautions, and they don't mind snakes are entering their houses or they're passing by. They just let them be, and they're living with these snakes for years now. And incidentally, the snake bite deaths or even the snake bite cases are very low in the village. So my research in snakes actually started with the help of a particular tribe that is based in Tamil Nadu state of India, in South India, who are known as Irula tribe, and it's a particular population of Irulas. Not all the Irulas of the southern India are snake hunters, but this particular population here, they are very good in snake hunting operations. They are very good in. They have very good knowledge in the ecology of all the snakes, especially for venomous ones, which are known as the big four, and from which the venom is extracted for making antivenom, which is a life-saving drug, So the Irulas run Snake Catchers Industrial Cooperative Society near Mahabalipuram. So it's and entire India, the source of antivenom, the raw material to make antivenom, that is venom from big four venomous snakes. One in the picture is common krait, and other three are common cobra, Russell's viper, and Sawskel viper. So they captured these 4 species with a valid license from Forest Department, and they keep the snakes inside the cooperative, as you can see in the pots there. And parallelly do outreach programs. They just make people aware of snake biology, or they just bust myths associated with snakes. Many people have till now many myths. They believe in myths, so they just perform with the snakes there, and they show like how people are wrong about snakes. And after the extractions are over, 4 extractions per snake they do usually. After the extractions are over, they just release the snakes back from the exact same habitat or the spot from where they were caught. And when the snakes in the cooperative, they mark the snakes so that next time when they are capturing, they are not doing a recapture immediately. So it's not probably good for the snakes again and again if you are catching the same individual for venom extraction. So here you can see one of my assistants who is just teaching his daughter. She's a little girl, and he's just teaching. Parents are teaching her about the venomous snake. It's a venomous species of the big four, Sawskel viper. And this little girl is learning from this age. Even when they're very little, they just learn all about snakes. So I would just assist these incredible people, Irulas in the field. And later I just decided on my research question. I wanted to see like how these common venomous species are using farmland habitats, how they're using it. So for that, you can see a farmland here. So I had many variables considered, like the different stages of farming, like when it's mostly predominantly rice cultivation here. So sometimes in different stages, I will find the habitat, like sometimes it's sown, or sometimes the reproductive stage of the rice is there, sometimes it's flowering and also harvesting. So I will study the habitat in all of these stages and consider many associated variables with it. Excuse me. You can see it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Okay, I just missed it. So, okay. So different variables I considered, and I just wanted to see how the population, snake population here in this habitat are varying over seasons, over different climatic conditions, or over different crop condition or human behavior. All these variables I considered, and I found like there are 3 sympatric species of snakes which use farmland habitat, that is common cobra, Russell's viper, and common krait. The other one of the big 4, that is the Sawskel viper, is it's not usually available here. It's more of a open area species. So I found like this particular 3 species, they use the grassland, the farmland habitat, mostly based on the habitat variables. The population is changing mostly based on the habitat variables, not much on the climate variables like the ambient humidity or ambient temperature per se. So I could say like most of the snakes were observed. I also saw like what is the activity pattern of this particular snake. So I could see like the snakes are more available during a time range of say 10 to 11 o'clock up to 2 o'clock afternoon, like that. The surveys were done from morning 6 to afternoon to 12 o'clock, and then again from afternoon 6 o'clock to night 10 o'clock, and from night 9 o'clock to morning 3 o'clock initial service, because one among the study species, that is common crate, that was a nocturnal species. So I could see like most of the observations were done in the morning, because during night for logistic issues also, not many samplings were later could be made in a systematic way. And I could see like human habits like of crop rotation or crop stages, or the humidity in the area, which is mostly human induced, because you can understand like farmland has a human induced factor of humidity which persists in a different way compared to the surrounding habitat. Those contributed to the relative abundance of these 3 species. So, as you may know, like why snakes are abundant in these farmlands? They mostly come here for rodents, as I said before, because these farmlands are having plenty of food grains, especially after harvest, and that time there will be a swarm of rodent population, and these snakes will come there to feed on them, and they will just stay there as a convenient, in the rodent holes. They will hunt on them, and then they will just occupy the rodent holes and stay there. So food is important for them, which contribute to this. But for snakes, since they're ectothermic, temperature is also important. Sometimes it's very hard to say, is it food or is it temperature? What is more important? We are, as we may know, like sometimes snakes are referred as cold-blooded. Cold-blooded is not a proper term to say. I would rather say like they're ectothermic, so their metabolism and all the physiological attributes, they're directly associated with the climate variables, the outside environment, the outside climate. Whereas when we are getting energy directly from having food, snakes, the fitness for snakes, it depends on the environmental climate. They have to bask, like they need to bask to regulate the body temperature, right? So when it is colder, we know like there is a term, hibernation. Snakes go in hibernation. Even here it's said like winters are the season for snake hibernation. But when it comes to hibernation, if it is, there is a huge difference in temperate regions and tropical regions. In the left side of the picture, you can see a cobra, which is quite common in tropics, in tropical region. It's an assemblage of prairie rattlesnakes. It's a species found in the US, where part of my research was done. And this particular, it's a viperine species like Russell's viper, which was one among the species in India I studied on. So this particular viper species, prairie rattlesnake, they hibernate in the winter in masses. Sometimes there will be 100, 200 snakes, more than that in a hibernacula. So they do it in temperate regions because my study area, say it was Colorado, where the temperature would be sub-zero many of the times. I mean, it's a very cold area, and it will have snowfall, and sub-zero temperature is not uncommon there. So to avoid this harsh winter, it's a long winter there. To avoid that, they just assemble together so that the temperature generated by this mass assemblage is increased. So they find a suitable habitat, a tunnel, or under crop this rocky places, something which is hidden, which is not having direct, exposure to outside, and they just gather together and they go on hibernation. This is very different from the hibernation what we see in tropics. Actually, in tropics, in our places, it is not, I would say it is not exactly fully hibernation, we can say. The temperature needs to be very low if there has to be a proper hibernation. So in US, my study was on these prairie rattlesnakes. I did it in a same farmland habitat there also. It was a cornfield associated habitat where I studied these prairie rattlesnakes. And I wanted to compare the results of findings with my study in India. So this population, how I monitored them, I will go to field, collect the snakes along with my advisor. And this is a snake room where I worked. You can see these enclosures on the left, all are having venomous snakes. My advisor specializes on venomous snakes. And we will capture the prairie rattlesnakes from field, bring them back to laboratory, and then process them, like extract venom, and then measure the snakes, weight, length, and see if there is any tag in them already, which says that they were captured before. So this is a very important method of studying population ecology in any species, and especially in snakes, mercury capture, where you have to, when you are recording an individual, you need to know if it was already recorded. So if not, you may pseudo-replicate the same specimen with the previous one. So to avoid that, when we are capturing a snake, we just put a passive integrated transponder, in this case, we call it PIT. So that PIT we insert under the snake skin, and that will be a number coded microchip, and we will have a handheld reader to get that reading of that particular microchip. So if we are tagging a snake with this microchip and later recapturing the same individual, if we are measuring it with that particular machine, the recorder, as you can see here, the right side, it will show that number which is recorded in that PIT. So if we are maintaining a directory of all the numbers what we have inserted in the snakes, later if we are doing a recapture, we can understand this was previously caught, and we have data entered for that time when we caught the snake. So if you are recapturing a snake, you can get information which is very useful, like the growth rate, seeing the same place again, which is called site fidelity, and many things, like if it has reproduced there. So you get an entire picture of the population demography of that particular snakes, and many other physiological attributes. So I studied the effect of season and sex, how it is varying for this overwintering prairie rattlesnakes. And I could see the snake mass, body mass, means the weight, you can say in generally, which is adjusted with the length. So it's a variable called SVL, snout to vent length, and that adjusted with mass. So that particular factor, how it is changing over seasons, if it is changing over season or if it was changing over sex, like if males are gaining or losing over after hibernation, or if it is females. So we could find like the female snakes actually lose less mass, means they're they're just storing this mass even during this hibernation period, maybe because after hibernation they will go on reproduction, and they need to save energy more, and that was one probable reason why they lost less mass than males. So when we are talking about this, I am mostly talking about the venomous snakes because my research has been on venomous snakes only. But there are also very, very few venomous snakes when you consider with the entire snake species distribution here. Like maybe 1/4 of the entire species is venomous. It's always a less number. So it is very important, rather than knowing all the snakes in your area, to just try to know the venomous species. Like here the 4 species are the big 4, what I mentioned before. The cobra, the black one is the common krait, nocturnal, and another big one is Russell's viper, coiled up one, and the smallest one is saw-scaled. Saw-scaled viper is not found here. It is mostly in southern India. And the right side poster, it shows like mostly the snakes. It was done in Assam, the common venomous snakes in Assam. Many are found in West Bengal as well, like the monocellate cobra, which is called keute in Bengali, which you found in that village. And the banded krait, that is also another venomous species which is very common in West Bengal. Or another species of krait, which is like greater black krait, or another pit viper species. So all these species are commonly found in Bengal. So it is better to know the venomous one rather than knowing all the species. Okay. There might be sometimes resemblances, like phenotypic resemblances with the venomous and the non-venomous species. Like here we can see a common krait and a wolf snake. Common wolf snake, which is often get confused. It's called ghorchiti in Bengali, and it often gets confused with common krait, which is a highly venomous species. Or the Russell's viper here, and here is a sand boa. They also get often confused. Russell's viper is highly venomous, sand boa is not. So we have already discussed many factors. You have seen why snakes are coming close to us, and we already know like they are coming here for close to us because of food mostly. And many snakes among the rescued ones which are coming in human contact are spectacled cobras or rat snakes who prefer rodents in their diet. And sometimes they are coming for shelter because it's probably flooded everywhere and they get a drier place, or it is cold everywhere, they get a warm place. And also to find hotter places, like in villages, it's a common thing, like snakes are coming near the in the kitchen, which is warmer compared to the outside places in winter. So many times snakes are found there in villages. And here we can see 2 pictures. One, both are in fields, one in nature camp and another one in field. We can see like the left side is a cobra. It's a spectacled cobra which is just around my leg. Becoming aware of the snakes around. In villages also there are professional hazards, like people who work in fields, people who have to go outside for, many people are not having lavatories in their houses. They have to go outside to for their daily needs, and it's probably in dark, it's probably in early dawn when you can barely see anything outside. And these associated hazards of living in a village also cause many snake bites. Many times it's wrong practices, like many people have a tendency to show off with snakes. Many rescuers, there are many incidents happened recently where rescuers have been bitten by snakes because of wrong approach to venomous snakes. That also a reason. And many cases people are not aware. As I showed you before, the village in Jankeshwari, the village who worships goddess Jankeshwari, Chotapashla village in Bardhaman district. There people, I told you, like the cases are very rare, even though the highly venomous monocellular cobra is everywhere, literally everywhere, because their population is growing due to no disturbances. They are never harmed or never killed, so they are populating well. And they're everywhere. They're entering the houses, they're going to kitchen, they're entering the bedrooms or the granaries, everywhere they're there. But still, while so less cases of snake bite, you forget about snake bite death, because people are aware and people know very well about the biology or the ecology of the snakes, what they do, when they will they attack. They know, like anyway they are not going to attack if they have got their needs. I mean, they're just coming for hunting. If they're finding something to hunt, they will hunt, or else they will leave. So it's very important when we are knowing about organisms to know the basic ecology or biological needs and other things, so that we can avoid any possible conflict with them. So if there is, after all this also, I mean, there is innate fear among people about snakes. If there is a snake around, here are some few points what you can keep in mind. I don't know how much don't panic would work, but I would like to tell you, like, you probably the snake what you have seen is more panic than you, so it's probably better not to panic. It will find its way if left alone. And there are some dedicated sites who work on sharing knowledge on snakes as well as snake rescue. So Indian Snakes is a very useful one, what you can get online anytime, anywhere, to identify snakes or get any other help on biology or ecological needs. And there is an app, Serpent app, which you can download from Google Play. And if there is a case of a snake bite or an encounter, then you can get the information of the local rescuers who can come to help, and also the hospitals who work as a support system. And the forest departments everywhere, usually they will be having some links. They will know people, either their staff or people locally who are who can do legally, who can do the rescue operation. So they will contact them. So there are many ways actually not to go into the extreme conflict that is killing a snake or getting severe panic, but to solve the situation. And actually, this is a very funny statistics of 2011, which showed how many people actually die from road accidents, from traffic accidents in highways, and that is a lot more than snake bite deaths. So, are we stopping, travel? Are we not traveling cars or other vehicles to commute? We are not. I mean, even though there are road accidents every time, each day, and it's plenty, more than snake bite deaths. But we are living with that, right? So we probably should try this also. And after all, snakes are here long before we came. We are barely here. We human beings came here like maybe 3 million years ago or something like that. And snakes are here like when? 175 million years ago. So they were long before us in the ecosystem. They were here on Earth before we came here. And we should probably try like to be more resilient towards them. And if we are trying to be resilient, many problems can be solved. We might not be able to create a whole new ecosystem for them or a forest or a village for them where they will stay, a village for snakes. It was nice that to hear. But we can try and learn to be resilient towards them by knowing them more, and we can avoid a whole lot of conflict by doing that. So I will skip another video I had since the video is not working properly. I will skip on that. And I would like to just end my presentation here. And thank you very much for your patience to hear how we can do a nature conservation with two approaches. First, what I started saying, right, it was restoration, and the second one, more detailed one, was resilience. So thank you for your patience to hear that, and I'd like to interact with you if you are interested.
Thank you, ma'am. If anyone have any question, please ask ma'am, or you can write on chat box.
I think asking directly will be good. Not writing in the chat box. I think so the forum is open for discussion, and please ask questions freely.
Okay. So I have got a question like, to what extent we can be resilient towards snakes in a congested city? Okay, to this my answer is there is no probably limit to what extent we can be. It depends on people's mindset in every place. Like we can say like to what extent we can be green in a congested city. Some people in some places, they like to have plants around, they do plantation, they encourage trees. Some places people just cut trees because they think it's a nuisance to ecosystem. So that goes for every other species also in the biodiversity. So and snakes, since there is an innate fear for snakes, it's very difficult to say to what extent. But if there is a proper awareness campaign, also you don't get to see lots of snakes in a congested city because already the habitat is compromised. They are not getting enough food or proper shelter. So most cases it's probably not as many snakes you find in an agricultural landscape that you find in a city. But it is possible. And I think with proper awareness and capacity building programs, with constant knowledge on snake ecosystem or snake ecology or biology, it is possible to increase our resilience. It is of course possible. Okay, so any others? Any other question? Okay, antivenoms available in the remote parts of our country where, sorry, I missed the question. Can you read it to me, Shumana? I missed the...
Are antivenoms available in the...
You are not audible.
Unmute.
Yes.
Unmute, Poro.
Our antivenoms are available in the remote parts of our country where this problem is seen more.
Sure. I mean, antivenoms are available all over India, and also Indian antivenoms are distributed in the neighboring countries. The same antivenom is used in Bangladesh and Pakistan and also in Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, everywhere. I mean, India is a big producer of antivenom. It is supposed to be available everywhere in the country. It is supposed to be there in all the healthcare facilities, primary health centers even, because it's a life-saving drug. But many cases it doesn't happen. So when we are asking people to do a proper treatment protocol, to follow a proper treatment protocol when there is a snake bite, to go to hospitals and do a treatment with antivenom, we have to really take care about like what is the stock, what is the situation of the hospital which is going to treat them. Is it having the stock? Is it not there? It is supposed to have any government facilities. They are supposed to be a stock of antivenom in even the most remotest part of the country.
Ma'am, is there training programs or like that for how to give the antivenoms or what antivenom should be given? Because I guess most of the time the doctors are not present in the remote villages. So local people might have to train for such plan.
Okay. There is recently 2010 there was a global initiative called Global Snakebite Initiative. You can Google it online if you want to. It's called GSI. So it is having an Indian chapter as well, and the Indian chapter is mostly dedicated to resolving these issues which are related to snakebite or the venomous snake bites and treatment protocol or the post-bite events. So they are doing many capacity building programs. Even there are materials available online, and they are trying to do this for many years now in India in a dedicated way, where it is involving all the healthcare professionals and the local people, and they're getting the bite data in a systematic way, like including the symptoms and including the if it is successful treatment, they're updating on that. If it is not up to, they're updating. So there is an effort that is there in India ongoing on to resolve this. As you said, it is common to not find doctors or professionals who do this, administer the antivenom if it is needed. It is true also in some cases. So the effort is there already in all over India to resolve that. It is going on. In many cases, it has improved as well. And anything else? Anybody? No other question?
Ma'am, I had another question about the way you were telling about the counting or how the GIS tracking is done actually. So, in case of snakes, they shed their skins actually. So is that a problem while tagging them? Because they are shedding their skins, they are a lot more flexible than others. So, is it a problem while tagging them? This makes a problem.
No. Okay. So no, it's not a problem if you are. It depends on the tagging method. If you are color coding them, like using a particular cautery, there is a cautery technique where you burn a certain 1 or 2 scales where it is not actually hurting them really. So branding technique. If you are using that for capture mark, then sometimes in a long term, like maybe 1 or 2 years, it might fade due to the constant shedding. So when you are doing invasive method, when you are entering the tag inside the epithelial cells, so that time there is no chance that it can go out with shed. So in this case, what you saw in peak tagging, it is not possible to get removed by the shedding. Sometimes if it is a wrong insertion, sometimes it might just pass, if it is going through the alimentary canal and all, some tags, it might just come out with the fecal matters and all. It has happened also in animals. But if you are correctly inserting it under the epithelial cells, it's not possible to come out with shedding.
Thank you.
Who else?
Thank you, Dalia, for addressing these questions. And I think it's a good session. মাঝে খানিকটা আমি মিস করে গেছি, আমি সিগন্যাল ছিল না, টাওয়ার ছিল না বলে সরি। আজকে ডিপার্টমেন্টের অন্য ইস্যু এসে যাওয়াতে আমি টাইম ম্যানেজমেন্টটা করতে পারিনি, ওভারল্যাপিং হয়ে গেছিল একটা ইনস্ট্রুমেন্টারির সাথে। এনিহাউ আমি লাস্টের প্রথমটা শুনেছি এবং লাস্টের এটা শুনলাম, ইটস ভেরি ইন্টারেস্টিং। তবে আরো অনেক পার্টিসিপেন্ট আমি আশা করেছিলাম।
Thank you all of you also. I'm getting messages here. So thank you all of you for organizing and listening also.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
The session was very much informative.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
See you. Yeah. Bye.